What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we cover everything you need to know about on a daily basis and what's going on here in our country. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below as it's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We cover money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. In fact, a new $500 and $1,000 stimulus check was just passed for millions of Americans. We'll be going over that in this video. I'll show it to you directly on the screen and who it's for and how there's going to be more coming for more Americans. If you've been watching my show, I keep you up to date here with the latest on everything going on here with stimulus checks, stimulus proposals, and what's going on here with the latest and what is going on here in our country as the price of gas, the price of groceries, the price of inflation is just out of control. And Congress and the president is trying to figure out how to combat all this. And the war in Ukraine is just seems like it's never going to end, and that is helping exacerbate the price of all this stuff, right? And really it doesn't seem like Putin is going to stop anytime soon. So it really just seems like this is going to drag on for quite a while. As you can see here, oil is actually headed for its second week of losses after massive amounts of reserves were released, both from the United States government. President Biden has announced that he is releasing 1 million barrels of oil per day for the next 180 days from the strategic reserves. So 180 million barrels of oil over the next basically 6 months. This is to help put more oil supply on the market. And from the IEC, the International Energy Commission, as well announced an extra 120 million barrels of oil, so about 300 million barrels of oil between the two. So that is a significant amount that has helped to lower the price of oil. You can see here the price of oil right now, WTI crude is at $98. That's like the lowest I have seen in a long time. Disregard these green up, icons here. That's just what has kind of happened in like the last, hour or so. This is down significantly. The high of this that we've seen in this year was 135. Okay. You can see it's down like 35%. Okay. And for Brent crude, this was like the high of this was 140-ish, around 140. So again, both of these are down like 35% or so. The problem we're seeing here is that gas has not come down 35%. That's the problem, is it's supposed to correlate. And this is why gas companies like Exxon, BP, Shell, Chevron just got grilled at the U.S. House of Representatives. They were called in to testify. And the price of gas here in the U.S. has just barely come down. In fact, diesel is only 7 cents down from its high. You can see here the all-time high, which was about a month ago, was 513 for diesel on average here for the U.S. This was the highest average ever recorded, 513 for diesel and 433. Of course, if you live in California, it's much higher because if they have their state taxes and their special blend. My apologies if you live in California, but this is the national average, right? 513 for diesel and 433 was the highest we ever hit. But look at where it is now. Diesel is still at 506 and 413 for regular. That's only 20 cents below the all-time high and only 7 cents below for diesel. And remember, even if you don't fill up with diesel, that affects the price of our food, that affects the price of our goods and everything you go to buy at the store, because that has to be shipped there via a diesel semi-truck. So the question here is, why do these prices remain so high? Why is this only 7 cents below the all-time high when oil is 35% below the all-time high? 35%. These should be 35% below the all-time high, not 7 cents below and only 20 cents below. This should be below, gas should be below $3. It should be $2 and something. And diesel, I mean, diesel should be like in the $3 range as well, 3 something. I mean, this is just way, way too expensive. Way too expensive. I mean, you just see this here. It's just insane. Yeah, and you can see the problem here is inflation is making it harder for Americans to afford necessary expenses because inflation is at a 40-year high and it continues to remain high even though the price of oil is down significantly. Costs are not going down. And this is why people are so outraged, so outraged. And a lot of this profits are going to the oil and gas companies. I guess if you're an oil and gas investor, maybe you're enjoying the profits and the dividends. But for everybody else, the other 99%, unless you have money directly in those companies, everybody else is not very happy. Or if you're a big oil executive, the other 99.9% of us are not very happy because, I mean, everybody else is like, oh my God. I mean, in fact, you can see here food prices have actually hit an all time high. And yeah, it's no longer just gas. Food is now at an all time high. And yeah, this is becoming quite a problem, quite a problem. And it kind of makes us all wonder, like, when is this going to end? And the problem here is inflation is not just going to end like next week. This is continuing to go on, continuing to go on. Yeah, and you can see here, quote, driven by soaring wheat and coarse grain prices, largely as a result of the war in Ukraine, the FAO cereal price index was 17.1% higher in March than it was just 1 month earlier. Wow. FAO said for the last 3 years, Russia and Ukraine accounted for 30% and 20%, respectively, of global wheat and maize exports. And obviously, Russia and Ukraine are having significant issues. Russia's literally just not exporting to what they consider unfriendly countries. And Ukraine can't export a lot of it because of, well, they're being bombed. So you can see here the price of those items went up 17% in 1 month. In 1 month, and that affects those prices for the whole world. Whether the U.S. buys those items or not, those prices went up for the whole world. And that's why this war is affecting all of us. It's a global issue, whether you and I think it's our war or not. It is affecting us, whether everybody thinks that or not. And you can see here expectations point to the European Union and India increasing wheat exports, while Argentina, India, and the United States are likely to ship more maize, partially compensating for the loss of exports from the Black Sea regions. The UN Food Exports Agency reported added as well. Other major increases included vegetable oil prices, which rose 23.2%. Palm, soy, rapeseed oil prices also rose markedly as a result of higher sunflower seed oil prices. Ukraine's a major producer of that, and rising crude oil prices. Again, oils, with soy oil prices further underpinned by concerns of reduced South American exports as well. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this. This comes as the federal government is considering multiple tiers of stimulus checks, potentially A $1,400 stimulus check, like the last one was. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that she is in favor of direct stimulus checks instead of a gas rebate on, or a gas pausing the federal gas tax on the federal level, because she says that would benefit oil companies. We also have a couple different bills that have been proposed that they're trying to shore up the votes for, shore up the support for, to pass it. You can see here House Representative Josh Harder has announced a $500 federal gas relief check program per person, per adult, or $1,000 per married couple. Again, two people, two checks, $500 each, called the Putting Gas Money Back in Your Pocket Act. So $500 per person each, or $1,000. Also, one of the bills that I like a lot is the monthly checks as well, which is the same exact amounts of the child tax credits that went out all of last year, as Democrats and Republicans are trying to get that passed now this year as well. Again, exact same thing. They're trying to get enough votes to pass that, as actually Republicans, Mitt Romney has actually stepped up to the table and is trying to pass that as well. Um, but you can see here, Democrats are pushing for $300 a month stimulus checks for adults. Maybe you could call it an adult tax credit. But this they're calling gas stimulus checks or anti-inflation stimulus checks. But $300 a month for 12 months is $3,600, which is actually the same amount as the child tax credits. But Mitt Romney, actually, you could see here, Mitt Romney, who's actually been the lead Republican negotiator on several different things for the Republicans here lately, wants your child to have a $4,200 yearly allowance here. It would actually be $350 per child for children under the age of 6 if they were to go with Mitt Romney's proposal here, which would have work requirements, though. Mitt Romney didn't have that before in his proposal, but he added it in. He said he added it in to get Republicans on board, because to get the Republican votes, he said that he would need to add that in. He didn't have it there before, but he has now added that in, because he said to get enough Republican votes, he would need to add that in. So, even Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat, or maybe a Dino Democrat in name only, even Joe Manchin has proposed that as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Democrats and Republicans either come together to pass the child tax credits and maybe these stimulus checks as well, for a forced stimulus check, or or Democrats pass it on their own through the reconciliation process, which was exactly how the Democrats passed the last stimulus check, which was the $1,400 stimulus check. The first one passed underneath Biden. That whole stimulus package, which had the $1,400 stimulus checks, the $1,400 stimulus checks for children, $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college student dependents who didn't even get stimulus checks under the first and second stimulus checks. They were left out underneath former President Donald Trump. The Democrats passed that on their own without any Republican votes at all, because the Democrats control the House and the Senate. So they can pass the next stimulus package without any Republican votes at all, or they can go with Republican votes. Just depends on how they want to do it, or they can go with a standalone bill with Republican votes. So it really just depends. It's an election year, so there are a lot of people that are saying, "Hey, let's pass some stuff, and let's get a lot of support from the people." And I don't know. You let me know your thoughts. We also have a lot of states doing this as well, because remember that each state got billions of dollars, depending on the size of your state, from the last stimulus package. Most states got the money near the end of last year, and now since the new year, most states are like, all right, it's 2022. We got to start voting on this. Remember, each state has to vote on the money, so their House and their Senate of the state has to vote on the money. And most of these states are like, yeah, we got billions and billions of dollars. let's give some of this money back. So most of the states are like, let's do stimulus checks or let's do tax rebates, which is really the same thing. But some states are doing it for like property owners or renters, or they're doing tax cuts or stimulus programs that might be a little bit different. Some states are doing like grocery tax cuts, sales tax cuts, or pausing their um, gas taxes. Different. Each state's doing something a little bit different. Some states are still thinking about it. Maybe waiting a little bit closer to election time. But I'll keep you up to date here on a lot of different things because really there's a lot going on. And also, one state just passed new checks for $500 and $1,000. Check this out.
Good evening. Money is on the way to help New Mexican families struggling with high gas prices. Lawmakers passed a rebate bill this evening after a 12-hour special session that ended just a short time ago. News 13's Jessica Gaudete is live in Santa Fe tonight with just how much money will be coming your way. Jess?
Well, Dean, the rebate bill easily passed the House and the Senate late tonight, with both chambers adjourning about an hour ago. Democrats and most Republicans agreeing tonight that the state of New Mexico has a lot of money, and that money should go towards helping working families.
Over the last few weeks, because of this global crisis in oil prices, fuel prices, too many New Mexicans have had to make a choice between putting food on the table and filling up their gas tank with gas, right?
Inflation is wild and gas prices are super high, and a lot of families are struggling more than normal with the inflation and gas prices. And so we came up today to provide relief for a lot of families that are in desperate need of help.
A late night as senators and representatives voted to pass the bill. House Bill 2 will give $500 to individual taxpayers and $1,000 to married couples. It would come in the form of 2 electronic payments, one in the spring as early as May and one in August. Your income level doesn't matter. This is all to help families struggling as gas prices and inflation skyrocket. Debate today often centered around giving rebates to undocumented workers, with one group of mothers explaining how they do file their taxes and would use the money to pay bills and buy clothes for their kids. There was also debate over an additional $20 million set aside that would go to people who don't file taxes.
We in the legislature, in the House, wanted to be really smart about how to get money to as many people as possible. And we heard specifically from low-income seniors living in rural communities who may not file taxes. They would not be able to access those rebates. So we had to create a fund that they'll be able to apply, a very easy, simple application.
The special session was originally sparked over lawmakers' anger at the governor. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham vetoed Senate Bill 48, the so-called junior bill, after she says she wanted more transparency on the projects being funded. It divvies up more than $50 million across the state for different projects, such as $50,000 for educational programs at the Albuquerque Zoo. Now, that bill, as expected, passed again tonight with some minor tweaks. Dean?
All right, Jess, thank you. Now, the rebate bill will cost the state $690 million. That will come from the added revenues from oil and gas because of the higher prices.
Yeah, so New Mexico just passes $500 stimulus checks and $1,000 stimulus checks for married couples. Another state doing this. There's going to be even more states coming up, so I'll keep you up to date on that. And also here in today's episode of You Can't Make This Stuff Up, check this out. As you can see here, as prices soar, Canada has banned most foreigners from buying homes. Yeah, very, very interesting. Let me know if you think this is something the US should do. As you know, the prices of homes are soaring here in the US as well, and becoming unaffordable for a lot of people here in the US. And who would have thought that this would ever actually happen? But this did actually happen here in Canada. Here's the details. Crazy story. Yeah, and this is directly from the LA Times. So this is legit. This can't make this stuff up. You can see here, Canada will ban most foreigners from buying homes for 2 years and provide billions of dollars to spur construction activity in an attempt to cool off a surging real estate market, which is also happening here in the US. A lot of people are complaining homes are not affordable anymore, and interest rates are now surging as well, making the cost of buying a new home even more expensive for the same home. The move signals that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is becoming more assertive about taming one of the developed world's most expensive housing markets, and that the government is growing more concerned about the political backlash to inflation and the rising cost of housing. Again, as I've been telling you guys, inflation is not just here in the US. It's pretty much everywhere in the world. Listen to this. Home prices in Canada have soared more than 50% over the last 2 years. And get this, the market saw a record monthly increase in February as buyers acted ahead of their own rate increases by the Bank of Canada, taking the average benchmark price of a home to $693,000, that's US dollars, in Canada. So the average price of a home in Canada costs almost $700,000 US dollars. Yeah, talk about insane. So the average price of a home in Canada is almost $700,000. You can see here the foreign ban or the foreign buyer ban won't apply to students, foreign workers, or foreign citizens who are permanent residents of Canada. Several $billion in Freeland's budget will also be allocated to building affordable housing and to help local governments update their system to allow faster construction of new properties. Yet the government's plans other measures that could potentially boost demand to help new home buyers. They will introduce legislation that allows Canadians under the age of 40 to save as much as 31,900 US dollars for a home down payment within a new tax exempt vehicle. During last year's election campaign, Trudeau's party also proposed a ban on blind bidding for homes, the prevailing system by which offers are kept secret when someone is auctioning a home, which is kind of how it is here in the US as well. You don't know what the other person is bidding. Blind bidding has been blamed for accelerating price gains in a hot market, with some properties sometimes selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking price. We're sometimes seeing that here in the US as well. Some believe that secret bidding forces each potential buyer to offer as much as they can. The Canadian Real Estate Association has announced a pilot project to display offers in real time on properties listed on their own listing website, realtor.ca. Multiple offer scenarios have become increasingly commonplace in today's real estate environment. And I kind of like that. If you never really know when you're going to buy a house and the realtor says, "Oh, somebody else is bidding on the home." Do you really know if that's true? Uh, and they say, "Oh, come in with your best offer." Well, I mean, I mean, it's like it never feels like a good situation. And they tell you to bid over the asking price because that's what happened. I'm not buying a home right now, but that's what's happening a lot nowadays. And you never really know what to bid. You don't really know if they're taking advantage of you or not. If you actually see what the bids are, then you can actually make a real choice in your own gut, in your own heart, and be like, well, I can see what the actual price is, what people are really bidding, and then you can make your own logical choice and bid, and not necessarily bid $20,000 or $50,000 more than what you should have. You know, so I think it's a good system. I mean, you let me know your thoughts. The problem is that with this blind, that's what we have basically here in the U.S. a blind bidding system. They could say, "Oh, we have 5 other offers. Just give us your best price." and you're basically bidding against yourself. Who wants to bid against themselves? I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments, but I'll keep you up to date here with everything you guys need to know about. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.